Matters. My name is Vicki Evans. Known as the community chest from the 1940s until the 1970s, the UnitedWay has helped millions of people. In Tucson, the focus is on education, health, and income, and we're going to learn more about how this remarkable organization does all that it does as we welcome Dan Duncan. Dan, thank you for being here.
Pleasure.
And Dan is Senior Vice President of External Relations. And we welcome Ron Sable. Thank you for being here. And Ron is the Vice Chair of the Board of Directors and is the Chair-elect of that board. And both Dan and Ron are with UnitedWay of Tucson and Southern Arizona. So again, thank you both for being here.
Thank you, Vic.
Pleasure. Thank you.
Let's talk about, Dan, the issues that UnitedWay is working on in this community. I mentioned three. That's a, but I know it's much more.
That's right. And again, we're focusing on education, income, and health, and we talk about those in terms of being really the building blocks of a good life. People need a good education because that's what gives them the ability to have a job and have the income they need, and then certainly they have to care about their health. So those are kind of the three broad focus areas: education, income, and health. But we further drill that down to 6 very specific issues. The first one is around early education, making sure that more kids come to school ready to learn and succeed.
So you're talking real early, pre-kindergarten.
0 to 6, because that's when the brain gets developed. And that's when the most critical things can happen, and maybe later we'll talk a little more about that. The second issue for youth, is around after-school activities, making sure that more youth are in safe places after school with caring adults, because again, the research tells us kids that are more engaged with more positive adults and are kept busy after school do better, stay in school, and graduate. For in the income area, we're focusing really on the issue of financial stability, making sure that more families are financially stable, can care for their family members, can meet their basic needs. And then also for families, working to make sure that more families are free of violence and abuse. Because again, the 2 issues that impact families the most is income and violence, unfortunately. And then for seniors, working to make sure that more seniors are independent and active and healthy and able to stay in their own home longer, because that really helps us make sure that we don't get people in nursing homes or higher cost care that they can't afford.
And it's great, better quality of life for the senior. What would you say makes it unique, though? Many organizations are those issues are their issues. I don't think I don't think any one organization tackles so many. But why is the UnitedWay so unique in the way that it goes about helping people and focusing on the things that you've just mentioned?
Yeah, that's a great question. I mean, again, most organizations do a wonderful job helping families or individuals when they come into their doors for services, and that's a very important part of the network, and we support that. But we also need somebody that's taking a long-term look, looking at what are the underlying causes, what can we do to change community conditions so that we can improve lives more than one at a time, but by making a little larger scope change, if you will. And so that's kind of what the uniqueness of the UnitedWay. We don't just count it at one person at a time, but what can we do to change the community, change community conditions so that people do have the education they need, they do have the income they need, and they can care for their health.
Right. And then, Ron, is it Live United or Live United?
Live United.
Live United.
And it's, it's a philosophy, and it's not just contributing, which is important, funds, but contributing your time, volunteering, and advocating what we're doing, and being totally involved. It's a long ways from the old concept, if you will, of the community chest. You gave the funds and you knew they went off and did good things. But in fact, we get you involved in the solution.
Right. And this is on a basis where you want people involved in the UnitedWay organization, but then it's also reaching out also, correct?
Absolutely. It's, again, we want people, as Ron has highlighted, to give, advocate, and volunteer. And we certainly would like them to do that with the UnitedWay, but it's just as important that they're getting involved in their neighborhood, getting involved with their neighbors, getting involved with their family, and being engaged. And we really talk about it in terms of sort of helping the common good. Because to achieve common good in our community, we need people connected, we need people caring, and we need people making a difference. So we're really about how do we mobilize the caring power of a community to focus on the common good.
Right, right. How do you actually, when you said you're talking about community conditions, that UnitedWay takes a long-range approach in trying to analyze and come up with the best types of solutions that will help change community conditions. Are you people working for UnitedWay? Are you gleaning facts and figures and talking to many, many members of the community from all different walks of life to develop a plan like this? That's a lot of work.
Not only talking to them, but getting them involved in the solution. And just a simple example, books for children, early childhood. Development of the brain occurs, most of it, before the age of 3. So you've got to take that opportunity, before they get to formal school, and hopefully help them develop. It's not a question of just giving books. It's, all right, are we actually improving their reading comprehension ability? So in the old days, you would say, this was a good thing because we gave X number of books to child care facilities, and the next year you gave more. But now we're saying, okay, what about performance? Are we improving their reading comprehension skills?
Yeah.
Are we improving their development skills? And we're measuring it. And we know where we're making progress.
Okay, yeah, yep. What about, you mentioned earlier, transforming retirement, I believe, with extended life options. Yep. So that's a new program or just an ongoing one?
No, it's actually a new program that we've just launched last month, actually. And what it's about is that, as we know, we have two things going on in our country and in our community, is that we have a large baby boomer population that is now moving from work, maybe to retirement, maybe not, but very clear that there's going to be some transformation. They may not be in their same job anymore, but they still need an income, so they still need to work, and things like that. In addition, we have a large number of people that move to Tucson to retire. Mm-hmm. And so we have sort of a very significant senior population. In fact, we have more than the national average in young kids and in seniors in Pima County. So one of the things we've done is we just launched a book, or a workbook, a handbook we call Transforming Retirement Through Extended Life Options, which, again, we did the research, we looked at, there's a lot of books about how to retire, but it's always usually about the financial side. So this one we included the financial side, the employment side, volunteering, having fun, lifelong learning, spirituality, and leaving a legacy, a whole host of other things that people need to really make a successful retirement and stay active. And our goal for that is we want people to stay active and committed in our community, particularly either working or as a volunteer. And the reason that's so important is it ties back to health, because we used to think that the healthy seniors volunteered. Now we know that if you volunteer, stay active, stay engaged, you stay healthy.
Yeah.
So to a large part, it's actually our largest health strategy is keeping more seniors active, because the more seniors that are active, engaged, volunteering, feeling worthwhile, the better they're going to do, the longer they're going to be healthy, they're going to stay out of high care costs, high care nursing homes, etc., and the whole community wins when we do that. So that's an example of how we're looking at changing community conditions as we change what retirement and help change what retirement means for people.
Right. What other things are you doing for seniors? I know you do.
But let me just finish on that. If people would like a copy of the book,
right.
It's actually available in hard copy. It's available on a CD, or they can just download it from our website.
Right.
And I know later we'll give people a chance to see.
Well, this is probably a very good time. Why don't we do it?
Okay,
So
good.
if we could have that information, please, if you want to learn more about the United Way, and also to get a copy of Transforming Retirement with Extended Life Options, just what we've been talking about. You can call 903-9000, or, as Dan was just saying, go to the website, UnitedWayTucson.org, UnitedWayTucson.org. And I wanted to give you, the location is 330 North Commerce Park Loop, and that's Suite 200. 330 North Commerce Park Loop, Suite 200.
Great.
All
So
right.
let me just go on and talk maybe about one other program we're doing with seniors that kind of ties into this. As I mentioned, we have a lot of seniors that move here, couples that move here to retire. And then one of them, unfortunately, may pass away. And so they moved here from somewhere back east where it's cold and there's snow. And so the one couple or the one individual is left alone. And where's their support system? Back in Peoria, Illinois, or wherever they came from, wherever their family is. So we're working very hard on something. We help support a program at Pima Council on Aging called the Neighbors Care Alliance, which is a program that's working to help neighborhoods and congregations identify the seniors living alone in their area and provide care by somebody next door checking on them now and then, by somebody else taking them to the grocery store, by somebody else giving them a ride to the doctor, by somebody fixing their water heater when it gets on the fritz, whatever that may be. So just that simple act of neighbors going next door and caring for the seniors in their neighborhood allows that senior to stay more engaged longer and live longer in their own home, which is a big goal. The other thing we try to do is get that senior then to volunteer and stay active helping another senior.
Because the isolation, we actually, Local Matters has had the Pima Council on Aging on as a guest recently, and they talked a lot about the isolation factor and how it leads to ill health. You know, if move away from a family to retire here, or families back east or wherever, and just that whole isolation factor.
You know, and their self-esteem goes away so quickly if they're left to their own devices and can't, you know, really prosper in that environment. So going in and helping, I mean, it's as simple a thing as one woman I'm aware of who lives by herself, and her neighbor comes over every morning at 9 o'clock to see if she's taken her medicine. And guess what? Most days, no, she hasn't. She's forgotten that she needed to. And she feels independent, and so she's able to keep her self-esteem.
Right, and it's probably, what, a 20-minute visit?
But it makes a huge difference.
It makes a huge difference.
And really everybody can do that, and the reason we have to do it as a formal process is that many, many people would love to do it. The only reason they're not doing it is nobody asked them. So it's a formal process that we sort of help neighbors and neighborhoods and congregations learn how to ask their people, their residents, their members of the congregation to get involved.
You know, and it builds a spirit of community or neighborhoodness.
It does. It
How about that
absolutely
for
does.
a word?
Yeah, absolutely.
Neighborhoodness, I need to write that down.
Which, you know, it also has a great ripple effect. You know, you feel connected yourself then.
Absolutely.
I know that to me it's new, it may not be new. UnitedWay is working to deal with the current economic crisis and to help people. And I thought when I heard about it, it was a new program. It's really to help people in crisis, correct? Economic crisis. Describe what you guys, don't tell my mother I said that, okay? Describe what UnitedWay means by what they're considering economic crisis, and then what you can do to help.
Helping families who are having trouble making their mortgage payments, paying their utility bills. You know, they're working, but, you know, maybe someone's lost their job. Transportation. It just kind of runs the gamut, but is the immediate needs. And probably what sticks in my mind more than anything else is the turnout in the community. When they learned about this program, we started getting calls from Raytheon, from other companies in the area saying, we want to bring you a check. You know, conditions are tight for everybody, but we want you to take this and put it where it will meet the needs best.
Wow.
I mean, this is amazing.
Yeah,
Wow.
And we really set up the fund. It's called the Economic Crisis Assistance Fund, and we set it up as an opportunity for neighbors to help neighbors, or for people that still have the wherewithal to give to a fund where they know the dollars will be used wisely to help families in crisis stay in their own home with either dealing with mortgage foreclosure or with eviction or pay their utility bills.
Because you know, gas bills in the winter are always high here.
So whatever that may be, but the key is just to be honest with you. Again, the demand is so large is that we need people to continue to care. So again, they can go to our website, find out about it, find out about how the fund's used, but if people would like to help continue to support it, again, we created that opportunity so that people wanted to help neighbors could do that.
If I am watching this show and I haven't been able to pay my electric bill, my utilities for the last 2 months, what do I do? Just literally call UnitedWay or go online?
No, you'd actually call information referral.
Oh, information referral services
here
in Tucson.
325-2111. I know again, you get that later, but anyway, information referral services.
Right.
And they can direct you to an agency that could potentially help. But I want to highlight, to be clear, our ability to help is only based on people continuing to give to the fund.
Okay, so UnitedWay is helping to fund those agencies that actually can do some hands first.
Correct.
That actually provide that service or can link them to it.
That's right. Again, because we wanted to make sure that the dollars were used wisely, we were actually, there's 5 agencies in our community that have access to the fund. They're referred to by information referral as to where's the agency closest to the individual's house. The families we help are registered on a central online system, so we can make sure that people aren't going to more than one agency. And then so we can make sure that the agency is really working with that family. And in addition, we require that agency to follow up with the family within 3 to 6 months to see how they're doing. Because these dollars were not just, here's a couple dollars to get out of our office, but what can we do to provide a long-term financial solution? So we've had a number of cases, for example, where we're able to help give them some money so they could bring their mortgage current. They were able to negotiate a lower mortgage payment, so now they can continue to make their payments. But if we weren't able to provide that one-time funding, the mortgage company would not have been able to lower their rates. So those are the examples of the kind of stories that we've really helped.
All right. And I would like to emphasize again, this is a fund created by UnitedWay that we all can donate to. So let's take a look at that information once again. It is UnitedWay, and not only do they have many programs, but this one, the Economic Crisis Fund, I hope, is that maybe its name?
Economic Crisis Assistance Fund.
Economic Crisis Assistance Fund, and this is where we can contribute and help our neighbors, because with times like this, you never know when you might be that neighbor that needs the help. Again, UnitedWay, located at 330 North Commerce Park Loop, Suite 200. Phone number 903-9000, that's 903-9000, and the website is UnitedWayTucson.org, that's UnitedWayTucson.org. You talked about early childhood development, that UnitedWay is so committed. What ways are you helping that?
One of the, probably the most important thing that's happened in a long time is First Kids First, which was just announced in Tucson. Nadine Basha is the chair.
And she's the state chair, right?
She's the state chair, and we announced it here recently. And this is a program funded through taxation on tobacco that will be used for early childhood education, for training the trainers, for child care facilities, upgrading, a program to qualify child care facilities. We have hundreds of them in Tucson, and when I first became involved with the local UnitedWay, I think there were 5 or 6, Dan, that were accredited.
Oh, it was not even, it's not even a state law, is it, or was it? It is now, or a worker.
Well,
right?
actually, if I could take a second.
Sure.
Since my facts are all over the
no,
place
it's okay.
here.
No, child care, we have licensing laws for child care centers. And for example, the licensing requirement to be a child care teacher, an early education teacher, working with the brain when it is the most critical that it be developed appropriately, the state licensing requirements is that you have to have either a high school degree or a GED and 6 months experience basically babysitting.
That was,
an old
that
law.
was the prerequisite for
my
opening a
gosh.
child care center.
And that means babies are watching babies, and people don't have the skills that they need to really provide the stimulation, because the way the brain develops is by the external stimulation. If it's the right stimulation, the brain's synapses get connected correctly. If it's the wrong stimulation, they get connected incorrectly or they don't get connected at all. And so that's so critical. So one of the things we've been promoting is something called accreditation, because the accreditation standards are you have to have so many teachers that have bachelor's
So that law is really
degree.
the law of the land still, correct?
Yeah, the law of the land is only high school degree.
Okay.
Accreditation means that to be accredited, you mean you have to have higher standards. And so the standards require education, require lower class ratios to student to class to teacher ratios, those kinds of things. So that means the center can provide the kind of appropriate environment and stimulation that people need. Now, the second piece of that is how do we tell families about which is a good quality center and which is not? And so that's why, again, former Governor Janet Napolitano used to say that it's easier to tell the quality of a restaurant or a hotel in this state than it is a child care center where you leave your kids, because we have 5-star quality rating systems. So you know that a restaurant or a hotel is a high quality one. So through First Things First, we are developing a 5-star quality rating system in Southern Arizona.
So UnitedWay is developing that system.
That's right. We've been funded by First Things First to develop the system to make that happen.
Okay.
We piloted it a couple of years ago for Governor Napolitano. We're now making it real. Actually, we're doing about 7 counties in the state. The UnitedWay in Phoenix Valley, the Sun UnitedWay is doing the northern part of the state. We're working together to develop this 5-star quality rating system, and it's really 5-star quality rating and improvement system, because it's not just about going in and rating and saying, okay, you're a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but today you're a 3, here's how you can become a 4.
Right.
Because the ultimate goal is to have every center in our community be a 4 or 5-star quality.
Right.
Well, and you can appreciate that's an integral part of what we're trying to do in early childhood education.
Yeah.
Make sure all the parts are working as well as they possibly can.
Exactly. Exactly. Is there a move to it all get to maybe have the state legislature update any kind of
The licensing requirements?
Yes, thank you.
Well, certainly that would be good. I think, though, the example of why we have First Things First as a citizens initiative was because the current legislature or past legislatures were not sensitive to the issue of early education.
So just go ahead and...
But we'll continue to educate, talk to legislators to have them understand, because if I can tell a quick story, it's really kind of interesting. In Minneapolis about 10 years ago, the community there was doing economic development, and they asked the Federal Reserve Bank in Minneapolis to tell them what is the best way they could invest in economic development to create better jobs, a better workforce, all of those issues to drive economic development. Was it to build a new stadium? Was it to fund a high school or college? Or was it to fund job training? The Federal Reserve did the research, looked at the best return on the investment, and they came back and said, the best investment you can make in economic development long term is in early education, 0 to 6. The return is anywhere from $1 to $17 to $1 to $27. For every dollar you invest in early education, you get that huge return. So when the Federal Reserve Bank says early education is where to invest the money, that's why this state, through First Things First and others, is responding.
Are we as a population, and I'll just use Southern Arizona, are we buying into this early childhood development? Are we aware as parents and citizens?
I would say we're beginning to be aware. This concept has been around for so long that let's say kids who get into trouble. They're not well educated, they get in with the wrong crowd, they end up in prison. So where do the federal and state prisons, how do they make a determination on what their needs are going to be long term? They look at 2nd and 3rd grade and see how many can read and write, how many have good development skills. And the more that they see that they don't like, the higher the need for prisons in the long term. So the focus has been on, oh my gosh, we need to build more prisons. We need more police officers. We need more. And we're saying, let's go back to developing the child when the opportunity is the greatest, and we will prevent much of this and won't have to spend money on it downstream.
Yeah, and not spend nearly as much either to kind of kick it off.
Right.
That's right.
That's right.
That's exactly right.
Oh my gosh. Are these issues particular, especially this, to UnitedWay of Tucson and Southern Arizona? I know you're working with, you said UnitedWay of the Sun?
Valley of the Sun, UnitedWay in Phoenix, or Maricopa County, yes.
I'm just trying to, I guess, gather if the UnitedWay of Tucson is in any way working on things that are particular to our area. Or if is that part of your charter?
I wouldn't say it so much as working on things particular to Tucson as I would that it's something we were working on it sooner. Maybe that's the way to describe it.
Right.
We saw the need and started working on it earlier.
Again, if you look at other states across the country, there are other states like North Carolina that already invest a lot in early education. The legislature does.
I suppose Minnesota did right after that.
That's right.
That's right.
And so there's others, so that the United Way may not have to play as large a role in that. But because our state was not investing in early education, we started to invest in it early. We started, again, give, advocate, and volunteer. We started to advocate around the importance of early education. A couple weeks ago, we just had a business breakfast, which we've done for 3 or 4 years, to bring the business community together to hear the story of how important early education is. So we do those kinds of things to try to create that groundswell in this community.
Right. We don't have a lot of time left, so I just want to get, is UnitedWay, just so, I know it's a national organization, but are local chapters autonomous?
That's a great question. Actually, the United Way system is actually built or made up of local autonomous nonprofits. It's not actually a national organization.
Oh.
It's actually, every United Way is a local organization. There is a trade association called United Way of America, and they bring us together for training, support. But the other thing they're doing that's really important is trying to, because most people do think we're a system, to build on that power and use that effectively, so we have the best of both worlds. We act locally, we also can act nationally. So it's a great opportunity, and we think it's one of the best systems in the country to change community conditions, because we can use the power of the local. My dollars here stay here, where I want my dollars to go or where I want my work done, but we can also build on the power of the national.
Using those resources
As a businessman, I describe it as a national association with local autonomy.
Right,
That's a good way to
right,
put it.
right,
Yeah.
right.
Good way to put it.
And I want you, Ron, you're volunteering obviously a lot of your time and energies to United Way, and we only have about a couple minutes left. Why is this agency, or why the work the United Way does, why do you think it's so important to you?
I've been associated with United Way probably more than 40 years in one way or another. And Patsy and I, my wife, are at a point in our life where we can give more back, have time available to do that sort of thing. And we have been extremely impressed with the way this United Way has changed from the old model of gathering funds and distributing them, going more towards performance and seeing results, and that's why we became involved.
All right, and that's why we should all become involved. United Way of Tucson and Southern Arizona, thank you both so much. Talk about the fastest half hour, I think, in the last 10 years. Thank you both so much.
Thank you, Vicki.